Welcome to the Beast of the NFC East podcast. I'm your host, Sean Gnitzcavich, with my co-host, Jeremy Goode. And Jeremy Goode, welcome to the Losers Club, buddy. Welcome to the Losers Club. How does it feel to not have a zero in that second column?
Not great. It's hit throughout the week, throughout the last few days, with that one as the second number in the record. It feels odd. It feels bad.
It feels worse to have a one in the first number of that record.
That's
I'll
also
tell
true.
you that.
Listen,
As a Giants
you
fan.
beat me to it, but I won't get against a team like the Jets, and now you have to play a gauntlet of a schedule. But it's not great. It's the NFL. It's a wild league, so unreal.
I will say this before we get into this. This episode is dedicated to Jimmy Logan, who I just bartended at his birthday party with a bunch of Philadelphians, huge Eagles fans, great people. They subscribed. So this one goes out to you. And just for that, we won't make you start off with the Commanders. We're gonna dig right into the juicy loss that is the Philadelphia Eagles succumbing to the Jets at MetLife, 20-14. Jeremy, I'll let you take the floor.
I don't even know where to begin. There's so many thoughts that are out of place. Bad loss. It's just as bad as it gets. The team goes up 14-3. The Jets have nobody in their secondary. Sauce Gardner out. DJ Reed out. I think their third cornerback out. And they only score 14 points. The run game wasn't really working throughout the day. They probably should have been running a little more, but I'm not too upset. Like, if the best cornerback's not playing, if a top 10 quarterback and DJ Reed, who I think probably is top 10 in the league or around there, isn't playing, you can go ahead and win the game throwing. It's not what the Eagles did. Lane Johnson got hurt, out for the rest of the game. Looks like he dodged a bullet, which is good, but Jack Driscoll stepped in. Absolutely awful. This guy's been in the league for at least 3 years. A backup tackle. You can't play. He might be worse than anybody on the Giants' offensive line. Not kidding.
That's a tough ask.
Not kidding when I say that, Sean. And he was awful. Auburn grad, explains a lot. Avoid that school like the plague. Defense played well. They were holding the Jets to field goals. I thought they play back. They don't. The whole scheme is not to get beat deep, so they give a lot underneath. A lot of slants, a lot of stuff like that. It usually works, but there's a time where they need to be more aggressive. This was probably the time throughout the game against the Jets, and they weren't. Now, it didn't kill them, but they weren't able to get turnovers. They weren't able to jump in front of any passes, which I think would have helped this team a lot. I'm burying the lead. Obviously, the Eagles lose to the Jets in dramatic fashion, outscoring the turnover 4-0. The Eagles would have won the game if Jalen Hurts didn't throw a pick the last 2 minutes. Most likely. I doubt. I doubt Zach Wilson would have gone up the field 80 yards with a minute 10 left. And the Eagles still somehow would have won the game with the turnover differential 3-0 in favor of the Jets, which is wild. But the fourth one was the killer. Jalen Hurts was awful. Dreadful. It's not even just like the turnover sucked. Both threw 3 interceptions. One technically wasn't his fault, over the top to Goddard, and it kind of was like punched out and then went right to Quinton Williams for his first interception of his career. I don't love those plays over the middle inside with tight. There's too many bodies, so like I think a lot can go wrong in those situations. I won't blame Jalen Hurts for that. Goddard, he needs to be stronger with the ball. But Hurts also threw like 2 brutal interceptions. One where he holds and holds and holds the ball in the pocket. He doesn't leave the pocket. And then when he does leave the pocket early, he doesn't run. His best attribute, Sean, his best attribute in football is running the football.
He still led you guys in rushing, though.
Yeah, but like it's not. It was like it wasn't consistent. Like last year, he was
Mm.
running the ball like as a strength, and now it's
Yeah.
like he'll run it maybe to like, but like he also won't like get extra yards to protect himself, which I get. But like sometimes he'll sell out and just like not get a first down when he's like when he needs to get the first down. And so it's a tough balance, but like he just needs to be more consistent in running the football. I don't know. I get that they're scared about injuries. I understand it happened against the Bears last year. He needs to be
Mhm.
running the football more fluidly. This team isn't going to win without it. It keeps the defenses off balance, and then you can do a lot based off of Swift, based off your passing game too. And I think that's been the difference this year. It's just they haven't been able to rely on his consistent ability to change the field with his feet. And it cost them against the Jets. They still should have won as poorly. And that's the thing. Like, as poorly, I was going through the game,
Mhm.
and before they had the turnover, it looked like they were going to win in sloppy fashion. I would have said they played awful. They were awful. It's okay because they still won, and you have to collect wins in this stage. Fix it, please, because if it doesn't get better, we'll be in trouble. At least you won. We can work with a win, and they folded at the end. So
Yeah. Well, like we've been saying,
yes,
they've been playing sloppy. Not exactly sloppy, but they haven't been
they haven't
playing
played a
like the
complete game on
dominant
offense,
Eagles
right?
of last year.
Yes,
And what did I say? What did I say in the preview? I said the Jets could win this. I think I predicted 3 turnovers. Did I not? Was it 3? And you were like, this was the game that I think I projected the three
you
turnovers.
possibly did. I would also like to.
And they
I
came.
would like to
And they
interrupt
came.
very quickly and
I was
say
pulling out some
my
psychic stuff,
initial
dude.
prediction for this game was Jets would win several months ago, if you remember. I also thought Rodgers was going to play. They were going to lose to Zach Wilson, which is so embarrassing. But
Yeah, yeah. Good for Zach. I mean, his numbers don't look
yeah,
great. I mean, I feel like the game was conservative. He was kind of just like a game
he
manager
didn't
and
really play
minding the
well, but
defense.
he protected the football and didn't like. Yeah, I mean, I think if the Jets lost like they were supposed to, I don't think we're like harping on Wilson. But like, yeah, he didn't turn over the
Yeah.
football, which maybe one turnover for the Jets could have been the absolute difference in the outcome. So yeah, I guess he what, half a thumbs up, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. He was able to get the ball to Garrett
He
Wilson, which
was,
is like 8 receptions for 90
yeah,
yards, and that definitely helped move the ball down the field. But your defense again, I mean, was pretty like there is no running on you guys by the looks of it.
yeah. No Jalen Carter. I will say that this team was very injured going into the game, and they picked
Hmm.
up a lot of injuries during the game too, which is actually really a big concern. Let me see if I have some of the injuries. If you want to say anything about just your
Yeah,
initial reaction.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it like the Eagles, we kept saying like, okay, well they have the win, so that's all that matters. This right now is kind of what was feared based on like the lack of Jalen Hurts not looking like an MVP, not playing like an MVP, like you said, not using his legs, which is one of the reasons why he was like a huge favorite to be the MVP last year
Hmm.
because he had
Yeah,
he had all that great rushing ability and also the passing ability, and he's also making mistakes. I mean, he is definitely does not have this many turnovers this early in the
his
season
decision.
last year.
It's not even like his decision making has been awful this year. Not for like
Yeah,
for a lot of games, like he's played well and he has a bad decision, like a bad interception, like against the Rams, around the end zone when he threw that pick against the Rams. But it, as a whole, his decision making has not been good this year.
hmm. Another thing, our boy Hassan Reddick, Temple grad,
Yes,
2.5 sacks. I mean, he looked like a game wrecker.
he took
Um,
his hand is fixed now. They took the club off of it. I thought he would be he played with the club obviously for a few weeks, and I thought he would be okay with it. Apparently, it was bothering him, which also makes sense. As soon as they
yeah,
took it off, I think he now has like 4 sacks since. So nice to see him. He had a big sack too in this game, but wasn't enough. But he's been great, which is awesome.
yeah, and for the Jets, I mean, you got to give the Jets their respect. Jermaine Johnson, I feel like played a good
He
game
did,
too.
yeah.
Uh, Quincy Williams, like he said, and Quinnen Williams. Wait, yeah, Quincy Williams got the interception, did he not? Wasn't it?
Quinn Williams got the interception. I think Quincy Williams jumped on a fumble, maybe.
That's what it
Possibly.
was. Yeah, the Williams brothers ate against the Eagles.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, now you guys are going to be playing the Dolphins at home for Sunday Night Football. Not as good of a defense,
Right.
but your offense has still not been producing. This game was kind of a lack. I mean, AJ Brown still had 130 yards.
Yeah, he was
Devonta
great.
Smith he had like 2 big drops in this too, did he not?
He definitely had one big drop. Yeah, that was uncharacteristic. It wasn't a reason why they lost ultimately, but yeah, this was probably his worst game, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you think? Do you think Lane Johnson's going to be back next week? What do you think this loss means in terms of the team's mentality? Do you think this is going to be like, okay, now we got to get right, but get right against perhaps the Super Bowl favorites in the AFC and the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's the ultimate question right now with the Eagles going into this week and the rest of the season. They apparently Nick Sirianni didn't speak to the team after the loss because the players stepped in, and I think maybe AJ Brown, Kelsey, and someone else spoke to the team. Players only, not players only, but just like the players were the only speakers. Maybe that's nice. It seems like we've been at this stage for a few weeks, though. But losing, you have to lose. You're going to lose in the NFL. No one's going to go 17-0. You don't want to lose in this way to a team like the Jets. No disrespect, they have some fight, but without Rodgers, they're not too serious, in my opinion. We'll see. I think hopefully if it depends, it all depends on their response. I think the players' leading discussion is great. I think they have good vets to set the tone with Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, and Jason Kelsey. Hurts, even as a 25-year-old, is a wizard of leadership and like your 68-year-old grandfather when it comes to being a leader, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And with Lane, apparently they dodged a bullet. They're saying he could be back against the Dolphins, which would be great. They also said he might miss that game. So whatever they do, they just can't put in Jack Driscoll. It's so bad.
I think La'el Collins is still out there.
So that's a name I've been thinking about.
But I feel like you don't need to put that investment in if Lane's going to be back sooner than later.
That is true. I don't know how Collins would feel, but at the same time, he's also held out for almost half the year at this point. I would sit him as a backup. It's such a valuable position too, like just to have like that kind of talent coming off the bench at the tackle position. But that's another thing. Such a bad game.
Well, Trent Williams went down too in San Francisco, so like superstar tackles. That's another thing that you can hang your hat on, is that you are also you also lost as well as the Niners, so you're still up top there in terms of the NFC. NFC rankings.
It would have been a great way to be at the top of the NFC, though, especially because San Francisco played before us. It would have been different if, like, the Eagles played at 1, they lost, and then San Francisco played after us, and then they lost. It's like, well, all right, but yeah, they knew it and weren't able to capitalize. And it all comes down to home field advantage, like so not great.
But hey, another thing, the Niners lost at the hands of Temple great PJ Walker.
That is true.
So,
PJ Walker.
Some good Temple showouts this week.
I do not mean to chirp PJ, but it really was not because of his play. He almost tried to lose it at the end, but yeah, that is wild. That PJ, good for him. My God.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, he's had some good games in the NFL.
Yes,
I remember he had that great game with the Panthers last year too, where he was just chucking the ball down to DJ Moore, and then they still lost it at the end.
I remember that. Some of those highlights.
DJ Moore did some like celebration. Speaking of the Falcons, do you want to just marinate in this misery any longer? Or are you ready to move on?
If you have any more points, I'll probably add on to those points. But just to mention the injuries going to the game: no Jalen Carter, no Darius Slay. I think Carter hurt them more. Like, Slay would have been great. This cornerback situation has been makeshift. So like we kind of could have afforded Slay in a way. No Sidney Brown going into the game. Eli Ricks got hurt during the game. Justin Evans is on IR. Quez Watkins was hurt. Cam Jurgens, like Johnson went out. Avonte Max is obviously hurt. So they're playing really injured, especially on the defense. But it's odd because the defense has been so great, even with the injuries. Offense hasn't had any injuries besides
Yeah.
Lane, which definitely has a major impact. I mean, it changes the game, no doubt. They still should have won,
Oh yeah.
but they're still not able to
Trust me,
click on
I know
offense. So
one offensive lineman can shift the entire dynamic of the
it does.
entire line,
It does. I think
especially like an anchor like Lane.
absolutely, no doubt. There's talent like that goes down. It kills. It'll kill you. I think they should have adjusted better. I think they could have game planned, especially because Lane went out in the first half. So I think at halftime they could have done something. But listen, they pay the ultimate price. You can't be outscored in turnovers 4-0 and expect to win. They were outscored 3-0 in turnovers and about to win, which is wild. So I need the offense to start clicking and being more Eagles-like.
At least you can get some solace. You guys didn't get blown out. Like, even with the injuries on your defense, you guys hung in there.
Yeah.
It was a one-score game. Like you said, without that interception, who knows? Maybe you guys take the victory. Good chance you do. It's not like you got blown out by the Cardinals like maybe the Cowboys did.
That's true. I'll take that.
Yeah,
I mean,
at least you don't have that ugly of a win. But honestly, like the 3 interceptions is still something that just kind of haunts in your mind. And like you said, the decision making of Jalen, obviously he can turn that around, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's a stain now moving forward.
And he doesn't look. It's not even like. I never really expected him to look like his true MVP form as last year. I thought he'd be a little lower just because last year was so absurd and impressive. He's not good enough right now to be like. I don't think he's good enough to be a guy that you can rely on.
Bowler.
Yeah, to
right
get to a Super Bowl right now. So stuff has to change there. Appreciate the kind words, but like I also think like the Jets with their current situation, they play hard and like offensively they're so bad though, and it's like I just don't get like I can't believe they lost to that team, but. We move on. Hopefully, maybe in some ways I'm feeling better about the Dolphins, maybe because the Eagles have been humbled. It's at home. Kelly Green, Sunday Night Football, but we'll get into that later.
We'll save that for the preview. I think it's time to talk about one of the winners of this week. This is actually the first game, but we wanted to start off with the Eagles because I was just so excited to hear you make some points and analyze your first loss, which I'm very proud. You handled it very well, I think.
I've had a few days to fully comprehend what I saw, but immediately after the game, I called my friend and just like went in for like 2 minutes. But alas.
Well, the Commanders snapped Desmond Ritter's home winning streak that he had since he was a Pee-wee football player. But and it was probably Desmond Ritter's fault. The Commanders go into Atlanta and they win 24-16. Although, I mean, it was, a one score game and a 2-point conversion. The Falcons kind of dominated aside from the fact that Desmond Ridder is such a roller coaster of a quarterback and is just like so incompetent. Like the Falcons had 402 total yards. Washington had 193.
Right.
I'm pretty sure the time of possession was also much more favorably in the Falcons. I mean, you could see just in like Sam Howell only passed for 151 yards. Brian Robinson led them in rushing with 31 yards. If Desmond Ridder doesn't throw 3 interceptions that the Commanders capitalize on, this game looks a lot differently, and maybe you're looking at the Commanders a lot differently.
Yep. It's also why, I mean, I'll be completely honest with that. It's also why you can't look at this game and be impressed by Washington, regardless of how they played in a sense, which is a little harsh because you should get credit for winning in general. Atlanta sucks. They're not a good team. They've beaten bad teams. Ridder is blah as a quarterback. They, you give them. I think you give Washington credit because Howell was able to, as a rookie or a second year rookie, however you want to word that, was able to,
Yeah.
not turn it over and weather the
Hmm.
storm. But you you played the Falcons. You went into Atlanta. You got the win. You didn't look great. Take the win, but otherwise, that's why I just don't. I don't like look at Washington. I'm ever like threatened by them.
Yeah, with us playing them next week, I am not as like they have another win. They're 3-3. The
Mm-hmm.
Falcons are now 3-3 as well. Like you got to give it to them. They have the win at the end of the season. This might push them into the playoffs. But with the way that they're playing and the way that they won this game, especially, they're not a threat in the playoffs either. Um,
Oh no.
their defense got some good stops. Jamin Davis got that game sealing interception at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Good for Jamin Davis. He also had a sack too. He had a pretty good game. Casey Toohill got 2 sacks too. Casey Toohill, who the
Eagles.
unsuspecting hero out of all those big names on the Washington front was one of the defensive stars.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest stories of this game is Emmanuel Forbes being a healthy scratch.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would also say one of the biggest stories was Kyle Pitts scoring a touchdown. But
Kyle Pitts scoring a touchdown was huge too.
yeah, I
Uh,
think. Do you want to comment on Forbes, or do you want me to go into that quickly?
Let me, if you want to talk about Forbes too, I just think that it's something to be discussed, just because
Just yeah, rookie corner.
15th overall pick. There's all these like really productive corners picked after him. One of them being Deontay Banks, which we'll get into a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Emmanuel Forbes was like behind Joey Porter Jr. by far on so many boards.
Yeah,
Christian Gonzalez, who is playing like a defensive rookie of the year,
until
and Deontay Banks, who is quietly having a very, very impressive season himself.
mm-hmm.
And Emmanuel Forbes, they bench him, I guess, for his confidence, but he's on the bench. I don't know what that's going to do for your confidence either. I feel like,
Well, it means that he can't get scored on, so hopefully that will give him
I guess
confidence.
so.
I think,
But against Desmond Ritter, who threw 3 interceptions, maybe he could have gotten one of those picks, being
maybe.
the ball hawk that he is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good point. Situationally, I think that would be a game where maybe you'd want him to eat if you're Forbes.
Yeah.
But I never fault coaches for not playing rookie corners and trying to get their head right, because cornerback is probably the hardest position to play in the NFL. Besides, like quarterback, like taking away the quarterback thing, cornerback itself is probably the hardest position to play in the NFL. These rookies are 20, 21, 22 years old. It's just tough. I think they'll figure it out with him. Giving him a little off time, I think, is also a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I just, last year we had some really productive rookie corners, and this year, honestly, the rookie corner class is showing out. So
Yes.
I'm sure that's probably not great for him. But like I said, I mean, Desmond Ritter threw those 3 interceptions. One of those could have gone to Forbes. But
Maybe.
he also, I mean, he had a pretty productive day passing in terms of getting the ball out to Drake London. Finally, with Drake London having some games this year where he literally had 0 catches for 0 yards, 9 receptions, 125 yards. Kyle Pitts finally finds the end zone. Johnny Smith eats a little bit with a touchdown as well. They really shut down Bijan in the running game, but he was productive out of the backfield as a receiver.
He'll always be productive out of the backfield as a receiver. There's just nothing. Whatever you're able to hold him to. 5 for 43. Yeah. That's pretty solid, honestly. So yeah.
Yeah. Not terrible. Going back to the Commanders, Jahan Dotson is just like disappeared.
Yep.
He had 0 receptions. He had a really bad drop too in this game. So Jahan Dotson, somebody who I was very excited for. I remember De'Ami Brown too. I saw him. You know how he always runs that little like fade going out along the sideline.
Yep.
He dropped a nice
one
there
too.
too.
Against the Eagles that he caught.
Yeah. I think he had 2 against the Eagles. It's 2
He did.
catches
It
were that
was
exact
good.
route. They
Yeah.
love throwing him that route,
Yep.
but he dropped that one with no receptions on the day.
Curtis
Curtis
Samuel, a
Samuel,
strong
still
touchdown.
our guy. I
Thank
still
you.
love Curtis
Yes,
Samuel.
and I had to start him in a league this week, and thank you, King.
Yeah, thank you, Curtis. I mean, I quietly, we said all the time, I'm a big fan of Curtis Samuel. Terry McLaurin had a decently productive day,
Yes.
81 yards. I mean, over half of Sam Howell's passing yards went to Terry McLaurin. So, and Jamison Crowder too, who the Giants cut. He was on our squad. We've had a little bit of struggle with our punt returners. Kind of wish we gave him a little bit more time because he had a nice 61-yard return, and he's always been pretty good.
Yeah. He's
Returning the football.
he special teams, yes. I don't know. I don't think they're doing much with him in the actual offense, but
And I don't think
back
you
in the
need
day with the
to.
Jets, he's had those days might be over, but he was okay at that too with the Jets here and there. So
And the Commanders prior too. He had a little run with the
and
Commanders.
that's why with Washington, like I put them in a higher at a higher pedestal because they have talent on both sides of like I get that the quarterback they're not locked in, but the quarterbacks play well, so maybe they should be winning more games. I don't know. They're 500, but the wins they've had
Yep.
are against Arizona, which they almost lost,
Mm-hmm.
Denver, correct?
Yep. Denver, which was I think still like a 1-score game.
Yes. Although if it was in
Yeah.
Denver, I'll give them a little bit of credit for going in
Mhm.
that mile high environment. And
Mhm.
their third win is now Atlanta, who sucks. So if they start getting some wins against decent competition, I'll give them a little more credit. But until then, I don't know. A lot of talent
Yeah.
for not enough dominant.
And they go to MetLife next week to play the Giants, which
Interesting.
is a definitely must win, which I think we've missed a few of our must win games. I think we'll get into that. Is there anything else you want to
No, I'm
get into
excited.
with the
I'm
Commanders?
excited for the Sunday night game that we saw.
Oh, the Sunday night game. Okay, so nothing else you want to say?
No.
Yeah, fair. All right. Well, the New York Giants lost their first game in New York since like 1980. And you're like, oh, what? They play in New York. Well, guess what? It's because we actually play in New
That's
Jersey.
right.
And it was a close game. Giants lose 9-14. Where do I begin? There's honestly a lot of takeaways.
Yes.
We should have won this game a million times over, which we shouldn't. Going to this game, let's face it, I think that both of us had no real hope in the Giants. I was just like, I always have a little bit of optimism because at any given Sunday, something could happen. You got Tyrod Taylor in there, the big revenge game with all the Bills that came over to New York. Saquon's back. We still have this makeshift line. We get Justin Pugh straight off the couch. I don't know if you saw
I saw
that,
that.
but
I like that announcement.
respect to you,
Yes.
Justin Pugh. Respect to you, Justin
That was
Pugh.
funny.
Giants had a chance to get a nice touchdown at half. We're going into the half. Tyrod Taylor decides to check to a run with 16 seconds left, and we don't have any timeouts, and we don't have any time. He thought he was going to be able to spike the ball, and then we go into half without even scoring a field goal when we were on the 1-2 yard. Oh my god, dude! And honestly, I was like so excited. I wasn't even looking at the clock this time. I was just like,
Right.
I'm like, wait, it's half, dude. And Brian Dable, guess what? He communicated it. He said it. There was communication. He was pissed,
Yeah.
and I would be too, because that it was also. I'm pretty sure it was like it was first down. Like we had 3 opportunities to get the ball. Maybe 2 with the limited amount of time.
Right.
And like at this time, 2.5, Saquon ended up finishing the game with 93 yards. I think it was only like 3.9 per carry or something like that. But he was kind of struggling the first half. We lose Josh Azudu early. Justin Pugh, who we just signed off the couch, just back in his natural position, guard, has to move to tackle. Honestly, I didn't think he played that awful in terms of how terrible the Giants' offense has set the bar.
Right.
PFF still graded him in the 50s. I didn't notice as much like pressure coming his way, but I also think Tyrod Taylor did a much better job of getting the ball off.
He also did. Yes, I agree.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I thought that he looked a lot more comfortable behind a terrible Giants offensive line, and he was also comfortable with throwing the ball down the field, which was just refreshing to see. And then obviously we lose the game in crushing, terrible fashion. We held the Bills scoreless through 3 quarters.
Yes.
3 quarters, man. We had 2 nice turnovers, both a result of Bobby Okereke, who played like just like it's so nice to see. Like, I love that Bobby Okereke pickup. He's been the biggest investment in free agency since Shoshan came in. I know that some people wanted Tremaine Edmonds and some people wanted one of the Edmonds or TJ Edwards. And honestly, Bobby Okereke,
Terrell Edmonds, because nobody wants Terrell Edmonds.
It's Tremaine. Yeah,
only people wanted Terrell Edmonds, oddly enough.
But but Giants have the opportunity to win. We get the ball, I think, with like a minute 30 left. We march down the field.
Yes.
Darren Waller gets a pass interference. We get the ball on the 1. We have like 1 more play left. Everybody says we should have ran it to Saquon. I thought we should have ran it to Saquon. Looking at it, Saquon got swallowed up in that RPO. We throw it to Darren Waller. It's a good matchup, and he is freaking held, pass interfered so hard. Like, it's everywhere. Everybody knows. They were literally talking about it as soon as it happened. Like, that probably should have been a pass interference, but no. So that's just, I mean, there's really, like, you saw it.
Yeah,
you saw it. It's crushing. It's crushing because that essentially, unless the Giants go on a run, like, we really only have, if we want to make it to the playoffs at this point,
yes,
we have, like, we can lose tops
2.
I was going to say 3. I mean, I don't really like this NFC as much as their records look right now.
They're 17 this year, so what, 9-8? Yeah.
9-8. I was thinking 3. But, like, this is a game that we needed. This is a game, like, we needed to win one of these tough games that we were not expecting to win. The Cowboys, the Dolphins.
Yes.
Like, one of these games. The Niners, like,
you had Buffalo, too. I mean, you played well against Buffalo. My
brother was at the game. He was amongst a bunch of Bills fans, and they were terrified. They thought that the Giants were going to take it. Like, I had some hope. Like, our defense played the best they've played all season by far against a Bills offense that is dynamic.
I'll say it was one of the best defensive performances from an NFL team all year so far.
I mean, I will take that.
It was 6-0 going into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it against a really good offense too, and like, perhaps that's, I mean, Brian Table's the offensive mind, but he does know, like, he did, help build Josh Allen and that Bills team.
Yes.
So perhaps that insight helped him shut down this Bills offense. But like I said, Bobby Okereke, he gets the forced fumble on Gabe Davis that Micah McFadden recovers. Both of our linebackers, by the way, were just animals this game. Like, Micah McFadden, I think, was graded as a 6th best linebacker this week. I think Bobby Okereke was the 1st or 2nd. I think he had the best linebacker performance this week, no matter what anybody says. Finishes with 11 tackles, gets the forced fumble on Gabe Davis early to get the ball to Micah McFadden, who recovers it. And then later on, he tips a pass to Stephon Diggs that gets intercepted by Micah McFadden. So just a nice 1-2 punch combo. Lovely to see. That felt good. And I honestly felt comfortable with our defense that they wouldn't allow. And there wasn't really any big explosive plays by this Bills team. I mean, James Cook was able to run effectively, averaged 5 yards per carry. Damian Harris went down. I thought James Cook would eat a little bit more. Stephon Diggs still finished with 100 yards. But Deontay Banks played really well. I'm pretty sure there was a stat that said that he didn't allow any receptions this game. But I would have to pull that back up. Is there anything else you want to hop into here?
Yeah. I don't mean this to troll. I can't believe the Giants are somehow competing with the Eagles in brutal ways to lose after based on this week, because with how the Eagles played, it was just dreadful. I remember texting you after saying good no call on the PI. Definitely PI on Waller.
Yeah,
I will say
yeah,
it's a tough. I'm not faulting Tyrod Taylor too much. If that pass is a little lower, it's a touchdown.
yeah,
Again, it's still PI. And part of the reason why it was PI is because the throw, I think, was high, and I think Johnson got scared with that kind of coverage and Waller's
yeah.
abilities.
I mean, he pulled his arm
Yeah,
down. You saw the jersey
yeah.
was significantly tugged
Jersey
in the
first and then the
replays.
arm.
Yeah,
If that pass is a little lower, it's a touchdown. I didn't like. I don't mind throwing there. I don't like that kind of play. I wish they were more creative. I get not wanting to run and getting stuffed again or whatever, and that's the
yeah.
game. I don't love that play with Waller.
I didn't. It seemed like in that play, Waller was the only one who went out for a route. Like I didn't see anybody else
Yeah,
in the end zone on that
I
play.
think
Like I don't know
I
what
think that
what
was I
that
think that
whole.
was the design. I think they were trying to get a
I think that was a part of that
I think
RPO or
they
the
were
trick.
hoping they'd
Yeah,
get a one-on-one with Waller and have him, win the game. And again, the idea behind that, not awful, but it's
no,
risky, especially when the pass isn't precise and too high to start off with, and you don't get the call with the from the ref. So yeah, it was exciting. I mean, they did, and the Giants did a great job. Their second to last possession when
Mhm.
Tyrod threw that nice ball to the sideline to Darius Slay,
Darius
who
Slayton.
just dropped it. It was defended decently, but like he still should have probably caught it. I don't know, I think the
Yeah,
same, but I thought it should have been caught. It was decently
yeah,
defended, and then they get the ball back. They go down the field. They're using the sidelines brilliantly. I thought the Bills were clueless, like they were just letting them get out of bounds.
yeah. We
It
were.
was,
We really were.
it was,
Like we were attacking.
yeah.
Like great play
Yeah,
design. I
and they
agree.
did a good job with that. I thought the Bills were just throwing in the white flag because like they were letting, you know, they were just letting them take the sidelines. Did well to get to that point, and just didn't execute when they needed to. In the 205 minutes, I guess, of no offensive touchdowns for the Giants lives on. But you have
I
another
was
game.
just gonna say that. Yeah, the last time we scored was Matt Breida against the 49ers, which was week 3. Thursday night football too. So it wasn't even like a Sunday, It's been a long time since I've seen an offensive touchdown. And maybe that's why we were trying to obviously the run was a terrible play at the end of that first
Yes.
half. I believe it was first down too, and we just ran out the clock. But we had some opportunities to throw the ball. But if we were even able to, if we failed to, and we had 3 seconds left on the clock, kick that field goal at the end of the first half, and we could have kicked a field goal so much earlier, and at that last final drive and win the game. So, I mean, I know it's all like woulda, coulda.
Right.
That's just not how the game
Right.
went. But yeah, still no offensive touchdowns. It's like the Commanders, I think, next week, please, come on. Don't decide to start being some unstoppable force on defense next week. We need this. But honestly, I'm not totally sure about if Daniel Jones' neck is still stiff. I feel comfortable with Tyrod going in against the Commanders. And honestly, I'd rather have a healthy and confident Tyrod than a scared and slightly injured playing it a little bit
Right.
cautiously Daniel
Who
Jones.
isn't who has not even when healthy has not been playing in that inspiring football.
No, he hasn't been taking shots down the
Right.
field. He was taking all these sacks. We still had an awful line this game, and Tyrod only took 2 sacks. And they were they weren't as abysmal sacks either. AJ Epinesa got to him and Leonard Floyd, but only 2 sacks compared to Daniel Jones, who got sacked 7 times last game and 5 times the game before. And it's not like, I mean, the Bills' front is a dangerous, great front.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned it, Sean. Tyrod got the ball out early, and that's what you have to do with this offensive line. Probably what you have to do with this Giants offense as a whole, because it doesn't seem like I don't just down the field stuff. There's not much of a connection going on right now. Get the ball out early and see what you can do. And I think the offense looks a lot better than it has under Daniel Jones, at least. So I wouldn't have any issue going with Tyrod. You got to tell before the game. Hey, remember how you protected the ball last week? Do it again this week. But if
Yeah,
he can protect the ball and get the ball out early, I think that's good enough to beat Washington, no doubt.
yeah. Some things here, like Tyrod did connect with Darius Slayton, I think 2 different plays of over 20 yards
Mm-hmm.
down the sideline. Like that's it kind of been Darius Slayton's bread and butter in this offense. Jalen Hyatt got used, and he had a spectacular, like, I think it was a 39-yard catch. It was so beautiful by Tyrod, who just uncorked it. And we get illegal linemen downfield. Like, dude, I saw Evan Neal. He was like 1 yard, like, he wasn't even doing anything. He was just standing there, literally watching Jalen Hyatt catch this amazing
Yeah,
pass. I've seen, they're really like this year. I've noticed illegal man downfield so many times, and like that was one of the calls where I'm like, I saw that they highlighted the little, like, how far he can go. He was like right on the cusp, and really you have to take that. It's such a wonderful play to Jalen Hyatt. Just take it out of the existence of the stat sheet, out of the existence of Giants looking dominant with a throw down the field, because that's a beautiful play highlighting Jalen Hyatt's ability, highlighting Tyrod's ability to pass the ball downfield. That's essentially going to be forgotten now.
right.
Um, but it's good to see that happen. Just the fact that happened, especially because that's a penalty that it's not like, okay, we wouldn't have been able to successfully have completed that pass because of that penalty. That penalty was just a dumb ding. Um, Wan'Dale Robinson was great in that short game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and he was great with the yards after catch.
Yep.
I think every time he was able to shiftily turn,
Move forward.
a target 8 yards down the field into a first down, which was great. Paris Campbell's completely gone from the lineup. Sterling Shepard didn't see any playing time, which I'm thinking about it. And like, I love Sterling Shepard. He's always been a leader in this team. He's been here for so long,
Yep.
but his role, like, he has aspects of like Darius Slayton where he can stretch down the field, and he has some good yards after the catch, similar to Wan'Dale Robinson. But like at this time, I don't think we're going to be building around a 30-year-old wide
No
receiver.
doubt.
And Daboll even said that. He said that we're going to see a lot more Jalen Hyatt, a lot more Wan'Dale Robinson. Like the rotation that we've been kind of doing with the wide receivers is not going to be as. It's going to be more Wan'Dale, more Jalen, which I'm excited for because that's the future of this team.
Yeah.
And they have been
That,
playing
so,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, Isaiah Hodgins didn't even get a target either, which is kind of sad because this was his revenge game. I was kind of excited
Mm-hmm.
for a little Isaiah Hodgins action. Other than that, there's really, I mean, the Giants season is probably over, but this performance defensively and us being severely handicapped still on offense, like with this makeshift offensive line, like honestly, I think that was one of the better performances you could have given. It would have been nice to score a touchdown offensively. It would have been really nice.
You got to
But
start somewhere, and that's a you guys are rock bottom. That's a good place to start. You look competent, and I think the results show you were in the game for. You could have won the last second, even so. Um, I have more faith in them going against Washington this week, and I don't say that just to say that. If you give me that kind of game plan with personnel, with plays, designs, everything with the Giants, I don't think it's not going to be a blowout. I don't think the Giants are going to be amazing, but I think they easily could win.
yeah, and I'm definitely I'm looking forward to that game. I think the Giants need this as like the only game that like looked winnable that we were probably favored in was the Cardinals game this season.
Right.
And I'm hoping we're favored in this. And if we're not, dude, I'm hammering the Giants. You know what? I believe in my guys. Um, but yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about with this game? Are you ready to
Yeah,
go
we
to?
can go on to Dallas.
Go to Dallas. Yeah. All right. The Dallas Cowboys. We defeat the Los Angeles Chargers 20-17 in Los Angeles. It was a close, very close game. I mean, the Chargers were in it. They were charging down the field. Full pun intended, charging down the field. You know, they didn't look amazing on that last drive.
Right.
And then obviously Justin Herbert throws the game-sealing interception to Stephon Gilmore. And that put a nail in the coffin and put the Cowboys at 4-2, one game behind your Philadelphia Eagles, man. And I thought, I mean, Kellen Moore, come on, man. Like, he looked pretty frustrated with Justin Herbert's performance. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
And this game was a lot slower than I expected. I think in the first 3 minutes they both scored, right? Well, no, not the Chargers scored in the first 5 minutes, and then Dallas scores on that Dak Prescott run, which literally he had a wide open hole for 20 yards. Like, they really bit on that Tony Pollard. Like, that was just terrible defense. They didn't have one guy there to defend the chance of Dak running it to the house 18 yards. But other than that, the game was pretty slow. Like, it was just, they didn't score another touchdown for either team until the fourth quarter. It was just all field goals.
Right.
CeeDee Lamb was able to finally get access as a wide receiver one. I know that that's been a big insult by a lot of the analytics community that CeeDee Lamb is not being treated like the superstar that he is. And I think he looked great this game. Saw a little bit more Brandon Cooks. He doesn't really look like the wide receiver two that
not at all.
He gets a touchdown,
yeah, that doesn't anybody okay, you give him credit for a touchdown, but anybody can get a 2-yard catch for touch.
Yeah. And honestly, watching this game, even though the numbers don't look it, Michael Gallup was more used as the number 2 wide receiver. He missed 2 really good open catches that would have been touchdowns, honestly.
Yeah.
One of them, I think Dak Prescott overthrew him. The other one, he couldn't get it. He got his hands on it, but he just couldn't get it.
Sounds like both of them, yeah.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was a perfect storm of mid. But Dallas's defense was able to stop Austin Eckler in his first game back from injury. He barely could run, which was great because I thought that it was an easy prop bet that Tony Pollard and Austin Eckler could combine for 100 rushing yards on the ground. I was wrong, and I am upset about that.
Vegas knows.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, the Chargers were able to get to Dak today. They had, I think, 5 sacks on Dak. Khalil Mack got in there for 1. So this Dallas offensive line that's supposed to be pretty nice. I mean, the Chargers have kind of been iffy on defense. So getting to him 4 times, respect. Deron Bland had a really good pass deflection against a Keenan Allen touchdown too, which I think resulted in a field goal, which changes the trajectory of the game.
Yep.
That was in that third quarter. Yeah. Anything you want to take from this?
Full transparency, I did not watch the game. The Phillies were on.
Because you were at the Phillies game.
So,
yeah. I figured.
But yeah, it looks like, I mean, I don't know how good the Chargers are, to be honest, but it looks like solid-ish defensive games from both teams.
Yeah.
Dallas had around 340 yards of offense. Yeah. I don't fear because I love it, but it doesn't seem like they have many. The offense is catching up to them with playmakers. Defense is playing decently. Held Eckler to a good game, but for the defensive side, yeah, I think they're missing something on offense, and I think good offensive teams that go against Dallas should be able to score points on them, even though Dallas is able to hold okay teams to mediocre teams to bad teams to not many yards and points. So I guess it's a good win for them.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is. Like the Chargers, no matter what anybody wants to say, are still like they're still a playoff team in the
Are
AFC.
they?
Although their record's
Yeah,
not
I don't
showing it
know.
right
I
now.
don't
I
know
don't
about
know.
that.
2-3, but like they have a crazy lineup on both sides of the ball. I mean, it's been very disappointing on their defensive side, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know how
Um,
good Herbert is either at this point. I still, I don't know. I think that he needs to step up and start winning some of these games and not score 17 points.
uh, Another thing, just Quentin Johnson for the Chargers too. The first wide receiver taken in this draft, not a single catch
Yeah,
in this
I
game.
saw. I saw that one.
And I saw him on the sideline throughout the game too. Like he wasn't even in these packages. And with Mike Williams being out, like that's just kind of a telling sign. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
hard
It's
to.
just something to keep your eye on. Somebody who I also admired, like if he fell to us in the draft, like Quentin Johnson. He has the size, he has the speed. One of his biggest knocks is that like he has that size and the speed, but he doesn't even really use it in the best way possible. Like he plays a little clunky, like his route running's not
He'll
perfect.
have to
His
figure it
hands
out.
are not
He's
perfect.
a rookie,
Yeah.
and I think, yeah, he'll have to figure it out. And this is first 6 weeks of his professional career, or is definitely a wake up call that this isn't TCU. And this is
Oh
some of
yeah.
the defenses that he faced off in college. So, yeah,
Yeah. As much as the Dallas defense played great holding the Chargers only to 17. They didn't really have like the big numbers.
yeah,
I think
going
that
over,
kind of
yeah,
is what stymied Justin Herbert to only 227 passing yards, somebody who's like very capable of passing for
north of
300
300.
every
Yeah,
game. Yeah, because even like Josh Palmer is one of their deeper threats,
yep.
60 yards. Keenan Allen, 85 yards and a touchdown. My boy Keenan Allen, everybody writes that guy off. He's still one of the best wide receivers in the league.
Yeah, when he's not injured,
Yeah,
he reminds me not as good as Mike Evans, but kind of the same idea, all reliable, where he'll be
yeah,
productive whoever's throwing him the football.
yeah. That's it. I mean, I watched this game too. This is not like terrible. The Dallas run game was also completely held to like nothing.
Right.
Tony Pollard, like I said, averaged 2 yards per carry, 30 yards. Every time they tried running the ball on the ground, it was nothing.
Mm,
That being said, they were still able to get those checkdowns. Tony Pollard, he ended up having 6 receptions for 80 yards. So still productive.
mhm.
Um, yeah, I feel like Tony Pollard is just still a playmaker. If he's not getting the ball on the ground, do hands off, he's going to be productive.
Yeah,
In
he's
that
a good
pass game. I
player.
feel like we've seen that all season.
Yeah, he's a nice player for them.
Yeah. Anything else you want to get into here? I mean, Dak didn't have a turnover. That's good.
Yeah, that's impressive for him after last week. But
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to get into these? Get some previews going next.
sure.
All right, so week 7 is coming up, and we are going to be kicking off our slate with the Washington Commanders coming to the New York Giants at 1 p.m. Eastern in MetLife. The Commanders, like we just said, we've said it already. They've beaten beatable teams. They played hard against an Eagles team in Philly,
Yes.
so I have to give them credit there. Their team did not play as good as the score looked against Atlanta.
Right.
They barely toughed it out against the Broncos team, who looks like one of the worst teams in the league, only winning by 3. The Giants need to win this one, and they have a lot to play for. This is a must-win game for the Giants, but I feel like the Giants have a way to win against this team. The way that Tyrod played, was able to get the ball off. Like, I know Washington has a great defensive front, but so did the Bills, and we were able to still overcome that. The Commanders' secondary is weak, no matter what anybody wants to say. Even their starting,
That's putting
their
it
first round pick
very
quarterback
nicely.
is a healthy scratch. Desmond Ritter was able to put up 300 on him, and he is a very inadequate passer. Whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Daniel Jones, I feel like even if we win this game, it's not just about winning; it's about looking better as a team. And Commanders are a team that we could showcase offensively. We need to get some touchdowns. Tyrod or Daniel Jones, I want to see 300 yards passing. I don't want to see a single turnover. And I want to limit those sacks, too, against a very good Washington front. That being, I mean, our defense is playing as best as they have the entire season. No sacks last game, but still 2 more turnovers after getting 3 turnovers against Tua. Sam Howell is very easily turned over. Still taking sacks at an alarming rate, Sam Howell is. So if we don't walk away from this game with a few sacks, then like our excuse for our edge rushers is just awful. I feel like I'm at this point. I'm at my breaking point this season, and I need this Giants to beat the Commanders, and I need them to do it in a fashion where they look good on both sides of the ball. If I want any hope for this team for the rest of the season and going into next season, to be honest with you. Jeremy, is there anything you want to say here?
Yeah, I think the Giants, if they play like they did last, 2 days ago, I think they'll win. I think the only chance I'll give Washington is if Howell throws for over 300 yards, if he throws for over 325 yards, I think I'll give it to Washington because that's where I think the Giants will win this game with defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, however, 20 minutes ago, Tyrod get the ball out early, don't turn it over, move the ball enough, defense holds strong. I think that's recipe enough to win against Washington at home.
And it doesn't look good for Daniel Jones. There isn't anything out there, but we are working out quarterbacks right now, which is kind of a sign that we're probably going with Tyrod this week. Matt Barkley and Ian Book, neither of them who I would like to start. Honestly, if Tyrod gets hurt, put in Tommy DeVito. I want to see the kid. I want to see the Syracuse Jersey boy Tommy DeVito and they're slinging it over either of those guys. Andrew Thomas, hopefully this is the game finally. But until the report comes out on Thursday, I don't really trust anything that Daboll says. I feel like he tries to mess with the opposing game plan by being like, yeah, they could play.
Which is
There's
stupid.
a good chance.
Yeah, I'll talk about that a little bit. As a fan, be honest with me from the start. It sounds like Andrew Thomas was never close to coming back after he got hurt. And they made it seem like a weak injury, maybe a week-to-week thing. And it's probably been, 4 or 5 – it's been 5 weeks at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it happened in the Dallas
game.
Yeah.
Just be honest with the fan base. It won't – if you said from the start it's looking like a month, at least you can move. And I don't know if it impacts it, but, they should have been looking at replacements after week 1. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, but it doesn't seem like,
Justin Pugh's been saying he wants to be a Giant since the offseason.
I was going to say Pugh was the first.
Needed that depth. Yeah, we needed that depth. We saw in preseason, outside of our starting line and maybe one replacement, we looked terrible on the offensive line. Terrible, dysfunctional.
And what is it? Is it a hamstring injury?
It's been a lingering
That's the thing
hamstring.
with that's one of the worst injuries in football because they linger throughout the entire season. And you can't play with it being injured. So maybe they didn't know at first, but you can get an idea with hamstrings. They're not fun. These guys they'll stay out for several weeks. Yeah, but I think Giants can actually pull this one out.
Yeah, I'm just a few more notes and I'll give my score prediction. Saquon Barkley is healthy again, which I love. I'm not sure how this offensive line is going to be configured. I think we ended last game with Justin Pugh, left tackle, Mark Lewinsky, left guard, Ben Bredesen, center. Was it Marcus McKeithen back at right guard, and then Evan Neal at right tackle. Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it, especially against an amazing Washington defensive front,
Right.
which I think is going to be game planning for this offensive line. So we're going to need that quick stuff. We're going to need Wan'Dale Robinson to get that yak, which I feel comfortable against this weaker Washington secondary to like kind of take advantage of that, kind of welcome this pass rush that is inevitably coming. And hopefully Tyrod Taylor can get the ball out. Like he looked comfortable getting out quickly too. He didn't seem
Look
rushed.
natural.
Like his
Yeah.
decision making. I as much as everybody likes to say like Daniel Jones is still better, there wasn't really. I didn't look at that Tyrod game and be like, man, I really wish we had Daniel Jones for that one. Do I like? Maybe we win that game with Daniel Jones.
Mm.
I couldn't. With the way he's played this season,
Yeah.
I'm
No
not
way.
comfortably saying
No way.
that. Which sucks. Which really sucks.
It's something. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in the fan base are like saying, man, I kind of wish that we let Daniel walk now and just kept Tyrod for a year of transitioning to another quarterback. But all those people were in the same place as I was, where I was like, Daniel Jones is our best option.
Yeah.
I like him. He played well with us. We won a playoff
Coming off of last year, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get back to this game. I'm just going to do my score prediction. I think it's going to be a close game like it has been. We tied with them last year. We won at the second game. Well, not the last second, but we won, within a score or so. I'm going to go Giants 31. I'm going to go Giants 31. I'm going to go Washington 21.
So I'm assuming there's going to be offensive touchdowns for the Giants.
Yes, and I'm putting this is my bold prediction. The Giants have 3 offensive touchdowns. 3 offensive touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's how I'm feeling for this.
Yeah, I'll go Giants 20, Washington 17.
Okay. Hey, thank you for that, dude.
You're welcome.
Do you actually feel it? You actually feel that way, though?
I don't like Washington. So if New York plays the way they did last week, same game plan, get the ball out, they can win. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think, even if they don't turn it over, I don't think it's going to look like a great offense. I think they can win. And if the defense, like, I think what gives me the boost too with that prediction, defense plays like that, sign me up too. So
yeah, and I think I don't think this team is. I mean, I know they're frustrated, and they're frustrated with the offense.
Yeah.
Like you could hear it in the post game. I think they were a little bit happier with at least being able to move the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And they played amazing. Like I don't think this is a team that's going to be giving up based on the record. I think they're playing because they're playing for their love of football and perhaps also to get another contract.
No doubt, a lot of people
Giants or another team. So like these guys aren't giving up. Yeah. These guys still are playing to get paid. Like this is their job. I hope that the Giants defense can, like I said, get to Sam Howell, get those sacks, get those turnovers, force Sam Howell to look like the lower end of the spectrum we've seen him, as opposed to like where people think that he could be a future star quarterback, which we've also seen from this season.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Dallas Cowboys have a bye this week, and then they are back home with the Rams. So we will jump to the only other game next week, which is the Eagles home game playing the Dolphins, Sunday Night Football. This is gonna be a very good Sunday Night Football matchup that people I think are actually excited for. Unlike last week's matchup, which ended up being a pretty close, good game.
Yeah, it was.
Where are you leaning here? I'll let you take the reins.
I would have said if the Eagles beat the Jets on Sunday, the way they would have beaten them, which would have been because of defense, sloppy offense, 14-9, 14-12 kind of game, whatever, I would have said the Dolphins are going to get a win because luck is, playing bad football. You're going to get humbled eventually. A good team like Miami, they're going to beat you. Regroup after that, and we're good.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something, Sean. This team is not going to lose 2 in a row. They're woken up. They are now awake. They are wearing Kelly green for the first time. It is a Sunday night game in South Philadelphia with fans tailgating for 12 hours. Mike,
They're going to be rowdy.
it's going to be rowdy. They're now like the Jets game. They're humbled. I wish they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to be humbled against that team. I'd rather be humbled against maybe Miami. But they're humbled.
Yeah.
They're going to go in. They're going to get a dub. Yeah. I don't know how at the moment. I'll have to think of some stuff. But
I'll tell you what. How is Darius Slay looking for this game?
I'm pretty sure he's going to play.
All right,
Yeah.
And Lane Johnson, do you think he's going to be out this week?
It's tough. He's a fighter, so I can't give you. I guess right now I'd say he doesn't play, but he very well could play.
All right. I mean, still, the Dolphins have like the best the best wide receiver duo in the league, I would say.
Yes.
With Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek Hill is, I think, on pace for 2,300 receiving yards this season right now.
Quite good.
Which is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much I love James Bradbury and respect Darius Slay, they've proven to be able to give up some bigger plays. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to have some of that explosion this game. The run game, which has also been one of Miami's bread and butters, they're down to Devon A-Chain's on IR. They're down to just Raheem Mostert. I wouldn't doubt that they get 1 or 2 explosive plays. Maybe this is the game where the Eagles don't dominate as much on defense. I'm sure they're going to shut them down periodically throughout the game. Mm-hmm. But I could see Raheem Mostert breaking 1 or 2 of those, as he's known to do. I don't know. This is a really good Dolphins team who honestly got off to a slow start against the Panthers. Yeah. I think the Panthers were up 14-0, and then they still ended up going 42-21. It's like those Chiefs teams where like they're down 3 touchdowns, but like you never count them out because they can always just come back. And that's the thing. Even if the Eagles defense is able to stifle this Dolphins offense, they're bound to break through in one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Coach Mike McDaniels is coaching an off-white Nike Air Force. I don't know. Really cool shoes. That's what everybody's talking about. He's really cool of a coach. You either love him or you hate him. And I kind of love him. Like he's a great personality for football. And I love that.
He's just so weird. It's some of it. But anyway, go on.
And I'm pretty sure from all reports, he is often smoking a little bit of the Mary Jawani.
Sounds like it.
Which is, respected. If that helps his brilliant mind cook, then let him cook. Let's see here, though. I had an actual important thing to say that wasn't about Mike McDaniels.
I think A-Chain, however you say it,
A-Chan.
I think that's a huge loss, even though they've been without him for a week already.
Yeah.
Is Tua that guy? We'll see. I think this will be a challenge for him. I definitely think it's going to be a challenge for Miami to come in here against this defense. They've done a great job all year. We'll really see what Tua's about in this situation, playing an upper echelon team. So, if he crumbles, it'll say a good bit about him and maybe where Miami is. But if he plays well, I mean, he's played well all year.
Yeah. And also, I was going to say, the Dolphins kind of stopped our run, but Chuba Hubbard kind of went on him. So I don't see them like really making you guys one-dimensional in any way. Their defense isn't really that sort of team.
Yes.
But I don't know, man. I mean, you guys, like, if Jalen Hurts can get his stuff together, you guys can still go off and dominate.
If we stick to the run more, I think that it's I'll dive into the predictions.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Eagles. Eagles 34, Miami 28.
Okay.
The Eagles will stick to the run more, at least. And my bold prediction is they will dominate time and possession and have at least 38 minutes of offense. And that will be the difference in this game.
Okay. This is where I'm going to get a little. Let's see. Where was it? I think that the Dolphins. I mean, yes, the Bills crushed them right after they put up 70, but they really haven't looked that weak. Aside from that, I feel like they played a lot more dominant football against different opponents. Obviously, I mean the Panthers, the Giants, the Patriots, the Chargers,
Mm-hmm.
who their defense is not looking that amazing. Although they did play great against Dallas, I just maybe it's because of the way that the Eagles played against the Jets, but the Jets defense is good, so it's kind of skewing.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a little bit more confidence in Miami this game. You know what? I'm really sorry, Jimmy Logan and Jeremy and these Eagles fans. And please, dude, shove it down my throat when you guys beat the Dolphins next week. But I'm gonna go Dolphins. I'm gonna go Dolphins 27, Eagles 24. I'm thinking a tight game.
I'm switching my score to 31-28 Eagles just because they will do more time killing and won't put up the extra 3 points because they'll be killing time.
All right. Hey, that's cool. That's cool with me. I like that. Bold prediction. I think AJ Brown goes off for another consecutive 100-yard game, which isn't really that bold because he's been pretty
It
dominant
would
in
be
that.
5 in a row.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like that's like my safe prediction.
Yeah,
I'm going to say, all right, this will be my bold prediction. I think that the Eagles wide receiver duo will actually outproduce Miami's wide receiver duo
love it.
yard-wise.
Love it.
I want to see Devonta Smith get back into the swing of things and look like a 1B as opposed to just a 2,
Love it.
which he's kind of looked like for the past few games. All right, you got any bold predictions for me?
I'll stick with 38 minutes plus of offense for the Eagles, limiting Miami to under 22 minutes of offense. I will also say it's hard because I don't know who's going to be available, but I will say Devontae Smith has 2 touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Hey, that's bold. But hey, we're both kind of rooting for Devonta in this.
Yes.
So don't let us down, Devonta. Actually, let me down. I really want to see the Dolphins beat you so I can see Jeremy at a loser club one more week. And hopefully the Giants are not in that loser club next week. But we are over, we're about a third of the way through the season right now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Over a third of the way through the season.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's been going quick, but it's been fun. We will be back next week to review the Giants' amazing win and maybe the Eagles' amazing win. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being here. Again, shout out to Jimmy Logan and his friends. I hope you guys listened to the whole episode. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you guys for taking care of me. I figured I'd take care of you guys with this great podcast. And Jeremy, as always, it's been a pleasure. All right. See you guys next week. Go Giants.